Hi, this is Dave Toronto. The name of this podcast is Cut Through the Noise. This podcast will primarily focus on the topic of communication specific to people, businesses, management, leadership, sales, difficult conversations, and life. We want to keep the tone of this podcast in a business casual format. The podcast will be either me or myself, along with a guest or a client, having spirited conversations about the subjects I just listed. We hope you enjoy it. Today's topic is recruiting. So if you're coming back and listening for a second or third or fourth or whatever time, thank you. And if you're a new listener, thank you as well. And the reason I want to talk about recruiting today is I constantly hear from everywhere I go on nearly a daily basis about talent shortage and how hard it is to find good people. Could be tech people, salespeople, whatever. Companies across the country are talking about skill shortage and how to find people, and we can't find people. It's hard to find good people, blah, 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 blah. They're also complaining about retaining people, and they're struggling, and they're doubling down on things like turning their offices into playgrounds, their workplaces into, amusement parks with food and beer and, massages on Fridays and volleyball on Thursdays and cookouts. And it's great. It's great. It's fun. You want to create a work environment that's fun. But the number one benefit that we can all provide to our companies, the number one benefit, hands down, more than anything else, is to surround every employee with more good employees. These little perks that feel good in the moment are fleeting. They don't last. People come to expect them. And if we don't spend more time on the quality of human beings we choose to bring into the companies, we're always going to be complaining about a skill shortage. We're always going to be saying it's tough to find good people. The number one thing that we can do is to surround our people with more good people. So let's talk about how to do that. Three things that we're going to cover today. One is you got to know what you want. Two is you got to tell everybody. And three is you have to never stop recruiting. It's an ongoing process. It never ends, and we have to see it that way. So let's talk about the first thing. Know what we want. And I think in order to know what we want, we have to be really, really clear about what we don't want. If you think about the people that have been challenging to you over the years, or maybe challenging to you now, or the types of people that just don't make it in the organization or in past organizations, my guess is that most of the time it's not because they lack a skill. It's most likely because they have misaligned values. They don't share the work ethic that you might expect of somebody else. Maybe they're not honest. Maybe they come across as entitled. Maybe they're confrontational. Maybe they don't get along with other people. I don't know what it is. But typically when somebody loses a job, it's not generally because they lack the skill. It's usually because they lack some sort of value that causes them not to fit in the organization, or maybe multiple values that causes them not to fit inside of an organization. So you have to know what you want, and you can't negotiate that stuff. If honesty is an absolute must, then that can't be negotiable. We've got to stop relying on job descriptions and web portals and outsourcing our recruiting function to other companies that, quite frankly, are just posting jobs and not really recruiting. And we've got to take the time to get down and dirty around what it is that we want in the human beings that we choose to hire. We cannot just rely on skill sets and years of experience and where you went to school and which companies you worked for before and, oh, you had that title. Big deal. That doesn't mean you're going to be successful. It might be helpful. Maybe having those skills and having those experiences could be helpful, but it doesn't mean you're going to make it. And I'm going to go back to what I just said, retention and finding good people. The reason it's hard to retain people often. It's because we're not putting the right mix of people in the companies, or we're allowing values to be negotiable. The things that we say are important all of a sudden become negotiable. If I say honesty is an absolute non-negotiable value, and then I start lying to my team, or I start fibbing about this or that, or I'm not fully transparent, well, I'm going to lose people. They're going to look at me and say, what does this guy stand for? Nothing. You can't believe anything he says. And it's like that in life, in your personal life. If you get people that aren't honest, you got to get rid of them. You can't count on people that aren't honest. So we have to take a hard look at what are the non-negotiable values. What is it that we absolutely want, and what is it that we absolutely don't want, so that we don't let that in the organization. The second thing that we have to focus on is our intentional willingness to tell everyone we know about what we're looking for in people. We have to take advantage of the fact that we've got friends, we've got family, we've got clients, we've got colleagues, employees, managers, uh, folks we went to school with, neighbors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If we're looking to build a quality organization or quality team, and we're crystal clear on what we want in people, and we know what we want in people, we should be telling all the people that we know whenever we can that we're looking. These are the kinds of people, these are the kinds of human beings that I want to know. If you know anybody in your circle that has these characteristics, I'm interested in knowing them. I'm absolutely interested in knowing them. Don't miss the opportunity to weave this into your conversation. The job posting or the web posting or whatever it is, the description rarely tells the full story about what we need in people. It's just all that is like a photoshopped picture of what we think we need in something. And all the resume is a photoshopped picture of what the person wants to show you. It's like the filters on Facebook and Instagram. You look at some of these pictures, everyone looks like a movie star, but you see them in reality, you're like, what the heck's that? That doesn't look like you. Because there's filters. That's what a resume is. That's what a job description is. The job description doesn't tell the ugly part of the company, and the resume doesn't tell the ugly part of the person. But going out and making it a point, be crystal clear on what you're looking for, and making it a deliberate point to go talk to people that you know about these things will help your chances of finding people with these qualities. Don't sit back and automate it. That's why there are so many companies failing to hire and retain good people, because they've automated and dehumanized the process. They rely on assessments and portals and tests and you name it, and none of that is telling you about the human being. It might be helpful, there might be some objective value in that, but it does not tell you if this person is going to fit in this environment. Is this person going to get along with these people? Are they going to share in our work ethic? Are they going to be open minded? All the things that we say we want, are they going to be that? You won't know unless you're out there and you're intentionally talking about it with people in your network. Doesn't mean that you can't post, and it doesn't mean you can't leverage an agency, but those certainly can't be your only go-to um, channels for finding people. The third thing. So what have we covered so far? Know what you want and tell everyone. The third thing is never stop. What do I mean? Never stop recruiting. Where I'll get pushback on this, people say, "Well, Dave, I feel like I shouldn't recruit right now because I don't have an opening." It's kind of misleading, don't you think? If I'm recruiting people and I don't have an open job, isn't that somewhat misleading? I say no. Look at all the college sports programs, professional sports programs. They all have scouts, teams of scouts, recruiting athletes in eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade for college. Why? Because they know some of these high profile programs, they turn their rosters over sometimes every year, depending on the school. They need to know these kids before they need them. They need to know them 4 or 5 years before they need them. Same with professional programs. They know these athletes well in advance of even college sometimes. They know them before they need them. There is no position open for that particular athlete today, but there might be in 5 years. And I need to know that person, and they need to know me, and I need to vet them. I need to know if they're what I need, and they need to know if we're what they need. You're better off knowing it well in advance, which is why recruiting is an ongoing process that never ever stops. It's not an event. You can't wait until somebody quits to start looking for somebody else. You can't fire somebody and then scramble and then go look for somebody else. If you take the time to intentionally talk to people about what you want, tell everybody in your network, personally and professionally, the types of people that you want in your company. Ask them for help and make it a point to visit and meet and speak with these people on an ongoing basis. You're not going to be one of the bozos saying, yeah, it's really hard to find good people, or there's a major skill shortage. The other comment I want to make on the skill shortage, yes, maybe there are certain skills that are tougher to find. I give you that. Fine. But there are plenty of people with those skills unhappily employed somewhere else. And that's why recruiting can never stop. If you're truly recruiting and you're truly committed to it, you know your competition, you know where these people work. You should know, based on the statistics posted out there constantly about the unhappiness in the workforce, that there are plenty of people working somewhere else that would rather not be there, which means they're open to a conversation. And the leaders out there and the managers out there that are committed to recruiting and understand the value of recruiting never stop talking to these people. They know that just because so-and-so works here, or just because this person's been there for 5 years, doesn't mean they're happy, and it doesn't mean they're not open to a conversation with me. So let me just recap. The reason we're talking about recruiting is because finding good people and filling your company with good people is the number one benefit you can provide to everybody. It's bigger than anything else. Money's important, fine. Second to the money, or maybe aligned with the money, is the good people. That you want to retain people? Put more good people in your company. So know what you want, tell everybody about it, and never stop recruiting. Hope this was of value. If there are other topics that you'd like to hear from us, please let me know. Thanks again for listening. For more information about JCE, check us out online at jcegrp.com or follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. If there are topics that you'd like to hear us discuss in the future, we would certainly love to hear from you. Have a great day.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.